Ladies and gentlemen, another week has gone by. Another 2 weeks of Sims has gone by in the eMLB universe, and we're back to dive into it. Well, no, we're not. We're not going to talk about the Sim that just happened. Instead, we're going to give you some great debate topics, as we always do. I'm Aiden Pearson, joined by Brenden over there, the Orioles GM. He's on that side of me, which maybe that side, depending on how it records. I'm not exactly sure. It is what it
does
is.
the magic behind the screens.
I don't do it. Andrew does. That's all Andrew. So shout out to him. He's done a great job so far. Andrew and Kamish, I apologize for my mouth last week. Sorry to having to make you bleep that. But it made a really good show title out of it.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And I honestly, we were just talking about it here. I didn't know where he got the show title from because I don't remember everything we talk about on these shows. So I see the title there. I heard that he had cussed, and I didn't know when he had cussed. So we just now discussed that.
Yes, to give you guys some idea of what goes on behind the scenes before we start here, we talk for a good 40 minutes to an hour before we actually hit the record button. And then for another 20 minutes afterwards, we talk a lot because now we're friends. So that's what friends do. Well, I wouldn't say friends. That's a strong term. No. But so today you're rocking an AL Central with the Kansas City Royals. Sorry, it's flipped around the wrong way. I've got the Minnesota Twins going. I had it front facing, but it made the light weird on my face. So we're just going with it. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the first topic. Later on in this episode, we got a special guest joining us, the first guest of the show. So let's just jump into our first topic of the day. We're talking AL and NL Cy Young. Let's start in the AL. Brenden, I'll let you kick it off because there's really two obvious candidates, and I'm going with the third place guy just because we want to have some fun in a debate.
I don't think that anyone can make a real good, compelling case that it's going to be anybody besides Ethan Knight and Jim Reed, and it comes down to which pitcher's going to get it. And as good as Jim Reed has been, as amazing as his sub-2 ERA is, I don't think that there is a compelling argument that Ethan Knight does not deserve to win his first Cy Young Award. Ethan Knight, just to sum up his stat line on the year, he's made 25 starts. He has a 2.22 ERA. He has a whip under 1 for the second consecutive year. He is striking out 23% of the batters he faces. He's walking 3.6% of the batters he faces. He is above and beyond every other pitcher in the league, and he was cheated last year out of a Cy Young, and he will not be cheated again this year.
I don't have a good argument against it, but I am going to rep my boys down in Tampa Bay. As a real life Rays fan, I got to rep my boys down in Tampa. I'm going to take the pride of Tewksbury. Pardon me. Tewksbury. I didn't know how to pronounce that. That was weird. The left-handed starting pitcher, Ben Spears. So far this season, I know a lot of people don't put into win-loss. He's 10-10, but he's got a 2.68 ERA. In 161 and a third innings pitched so far this season. He's got 173 strikeouts, a 106 whip, gives up less than a homer per 9, and also is giving you a 4.4 WAR. He's got an ERA plus of 155, and opponents are only hitting 259 against him. Like we said, Ethan Knight and Jim Reed are 1-2 in the AL, but I think Ben Spears has himself a case for that.
The only thing he does better, and I mean the only thing he does better on that list you just said, is the strikeout percentage. That is the only thing that's better. His WAR is worse. His opponent batting average is less. I just don't. Spears is having an amazing season.
Look, Spears is having an amazing season, and so is Knight, and so is Reed. And I'm not going to take that away that I've already said I think they're going to be 1 and 2. But for argument's sake, Ben Spears is doing it in a place where he's not expected to do it. You expect Ethan Knight. You expect Ethan Knight and Jim Reed to be doing this for you. You don't expect this from Ben Spears.
You don't expect this from Ben Spears. I mean, he's the ace of a perennial, and always.
Hold on. But answer me this: what was opponents' BABIP last year? What was his ERA plus last year, and what was his ERA last year?
Last year, he had a 3.98 ERA. He was getting hit around at a league average BABIP 301. His ERA plus was about league average. He was about a league average pitcher last year.
So he's
got the talent to be there.
But he has been a league average pitcher since he came into the league. And this year, he's kicked it into another gear. which is something I think we have to take into consideration. Now, don't get me wrong.
I think so. I agree with that. He's been a lot better than his career average.
And don't get me wrong. Like I said, I think it's going to go to Ethan Knight. The stats, every stat says it. But for argument's sake, Ben Spears has to be in the conversation at least a smidge.
He gets a footnote at the end of the article.
I think he gets a little more than a footnote. I think he gets a paragraph.
I think when the writers, when they submit their ballots, I think he gets one down ballot vote, and that's his little footnote.
I think he can rival for second place.
Listen, you know what? He can rival for second place the minute Jim Reed starts getting hammered.
And you know what? Jim Reed, in his name, the nutball, sounds like he should be doing it every night, getting hammered.
He probably is.
Sorry, Andrew. I don't think you have to edit that one out, but
Well, you know what? Hey, Ben Spears is going to emulate his team and finish third.
Wow, that's a little foreshadowing for the next segment.
Mm-hmm.
Slight foreshadowing. All right, let's move over to the one where it's a little more fun to discuss. Little less. There are 4 guys in by for the NL. Do you want to start us off again?
Yes. Really, it's hard to make a case for which guy is definitely leading the pack. But if you were to sit there and say which 4 guys are really in contention for that Cy Young Award, it's Cody Koshin of the Pirates, it's Gianfranco Escalona for the Mets, it's Diggs for the Nationals, and it's going to be Jeremy Frank for the Cardinals. And of those 4, I would want to give the slight edge to Diggs. Diggs is having a really good year. He's second among those in WHIP. He's third among those in ERA. He's striking out 23.1% of the batters he's faced. He's only walking 5. He's got 5.7 WAR. He's just having a real good quality season. And of the 4 that we say right there, I think I'd have to give him the edge. It's going to be close voting, but I think he gets it.
Here's why you're wrong. Well, I'll throw the show title out there. You look at the stats that you just mentioned, and I got to go with Gianfranco Escalona. The man, I know we don't put a lot of weight into win-loss record, but I like to look at it to go, okay, where was he with his team? How did the team do when he was on the mound? Mm-hmm. For an example, he's 13-5. I know Diggs has a high win-loss as well. I'm not taking that away from him.
If we're looking at win-loss though, and we shouldn't, but if we're looking at win-loss, Diggs is 16-6.
Right. So roughly based on how they've played this season, pretty comparable.
I'm sorry, 16-4. My bad.
Okay, so fair enough. But you look at Escalona, a 2.43 ERA. He's got a 155 and a third innings pitched. He's only given up just over 100 hits, only 42 earned runs. He's struck out 226 batters, and we're not even at the end of the season yet. Like, he's got the Ks. He's also got a BABIP of 279, and he's also got an ERA plus of an astounding. And when I say astounding, I mean astounding 167 and a 3.9 WAR. Now, don't get me wrong. I think WAR is a stat that we can use to help create decisions, but it should not be the end-all, be-all. And that's where I think that Escalona has the edge, because he has everything else except for the WAR, which I think WAR is a stupid stat.
You know what? I think it's a good benchmark. I'm not going to sit here and argue the merits of it because I don't use it in player evaluation. However, you did use one stat in trying to make Escalona's case that I do want to give deference to Diggs for, and that's innings pitched. Your job as a pitcher is to play innings. I don't care about games started. Escalona only has 8 games started for the season because he's used primarily as a follower. He has an opener come out, and the Mets have used that strategy to pretty good success this year. But Diggs has pitched 181 and a third innings. Escalona's only got 155 and a third. Now, don't get me wrong; he's an amazing for those innings. But that is
the time we get to the end of this
innings. That's 3 games. That's 3 games less that you're getting out of him.
Okay, you have an argument there, but I think at the same time we'll see, because I think you have an argument in that case. But I think he's still got a few more games in him. We'll see where he gets. I also think something you have to take into account as well is how was the Mets pitching management? And I think that's something you can't take away from the pitcher as much as that goes on Denbrew or NC Pirate, just how they're managing their pitching staff. And I think what we're going to see out of Escalona, and maybe something that's taken away from these individual awards when we look at this, is what is the team going to do with that pitcher? Because Escalona is going to be more fresh. His arm won't be as tired when we get into the playoffs. And where, no offense, I'm sure he would trade a World Series ring for a Cy Young award.
And you know what? And I would see that argument if we were arguing for a guy on a team that's got a good cushion on their division. The Mets don't have a good cushion. They're in third place. You cannot coast a guy into the playoffs when you're in third place. You need that guy to be getting you to the postseason.
How many games has Diggs started?
Diggs has got 28 starts, 28 games.
28 games. Okay, great. Here's
which
something.
Which, by the way, is more than both of our presumptive AL Cy Young winners.
Okay. One thing I will say is that Escalona is doing this coming off an injury to start the season. He had a bicep strain to start the season, and he's still performing like this. An arm injury to start the season.
You know what? That is impressive. That is impressive. I see this, and I want to raise you one more thing.
Okay.
BABIP, not kind of influenced by the pitcher, mostly reflective of the defense they got behind him.
Correct.
Diggs is 302. Escalona is 279. You can make the argument that Diggs has had a worse defense behind him, and their FIPS are only 0.03 apart. Meaning that they're
but this is not Brenden. This is not a defense. This is not a team defensive award. This is who was the best pitcher. And if I'm throwing a guy, the best pitcher
is absolutely influenced by the stats caused by the team around them.
Great, but if I'm picking a guy right now to go out and throw me a one-game playoff, give me Escalona over Diggs, because Escalona can get more outs with the strikeout. He can get more outs with anything behind him.
We may get to see this settled on the field in a wildcard round.
We may, and that would be interesting, which we'll talk about here in the next segment. So I think this pretty much wraps up our Cy Young talk. We're going to take a quick cut in our recording, but it won't be too much of a cut in your guys' recording. When we come back, we're going to talk here with a special guest star joining us. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. After that short little break, which was nothing for you guys, but like an hour for us on this side of the break, we are pleased to be joined by Sean, a.k.a. Sadier, GM of the Cleveland Indians. Sean, how you doing today?
Wonderful. How are you doing, Aiden?
We're doing great. As always, we're also joined by Brenden, as you saw in the first half. Now we're going to go ahead and go into our Contenders versus Pretenders segment. So what this is going to be is we're going to talk about all the teams who are right now leading divisions in the wild card or in the hunt in the wild card, and we're going to say whether or not they have a chance to win it all in October. Let's go ahead and jump right in. We'll start at the top of the AL, and in the AL East, Baltimore, I think both of you guys have them as contenders. Brenden, if you didn't, we'd have some real conversations to be had.
Oh, we're more than contenders. We're more than contenders.
So, Sean, what is your take on Baltimore?
I feel like they match up very well versus any team in a 7-game series or 5-game series, if that is what they should face. They have the pitching, they have the batting. They have somebody who just came off one of the hottest streaks in baseball, in Verdugo. Their pitching, it just lights out.
That's awesome. All right, let's move over to, we'll start in the West, and then I want to come back to the Central. We'll go to the West. Let's talk a little bit about that 2-team race between the Rangers and the Angels. First of all, I'll start with you, Sean, on this one. Who do you think wins the division, and do you think both of those teams are contenders to win it all in October?
I feel like Texas is who's going to come out of that division. They match up. They're aggressive on the base pass. They have the pitching. Personally, Cleveland has just faced that. The strikeouts are enormous. They will put it out to you. I just feel like LA is going to be maybe in the contention. And if they reach the playoffs, sure, they can make a splash. But Texas is the one that's going to make it.
But can we really, and I'll pose this to you and then we'll go to Brenden. Can you count out last year's World Series champions in the Angels?
No, that's why if they make the playoffs, they have the chance. But I really feel like Texas is making it, and there's other teams that are going to push the LA Angels out.
All right, down to you, Brenden. What is your take on it?
You know what my take on this is there, spoiler alert for a little bit later, but there are 6 playoff looking teams in the American League, and of those 6, 3 have a realistic chance to win a World Series: Baltimore and both of these AL West clubs. The Texas Rangers, despite only having 2 really good hitters, the rest is everyone either a little bit average or a little bit below average, they're 5th in runs scored. And then you add in, they have one of the most amazing pitching staffs in the league. They have a bullpen that absolutely shuts everybody down. They don't give up runs. They run all over the base paths. This team is probably going to win their division, but I don't know if that's going to matter a whole lot if they're matched up in a series against the Angels, who are, of course, really good as well. Since the All-Star break, they've been on a tear. They have the 2nd best record in the league since the All-Star break, going 30-17. I think both of those teams are serious contenders to actually win a World Series this year, and I would expect at least one of them to be facing the Orioles in the ALCS.
Yeah, and I want to ask you this, Brenden. I'll pose this question to you. Texas Rangers have had a lot of success in their bullpen this year, even with the absence of DeMarcus Evans. Do you feel like it can hold up into the playoffs, however?
Yes, pitching factory. They just churn guys out. Every single member of their bullpen could be an ace, a bullpen ace, or number 2 guy in any bullpen in the league.
That is fair. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the AL Central now. This is your division, Sean. Rangers are clearly ahead or not the Rangers, the Tigers, I should say,
Tigers,
are clearly above and beyond every other team in the AL Central right now. Do you think they can win a World Series, though?
Yes. I think they've positioned themselves for the playoffs, not the regular season. Everything you look at, they're ready for a tight matchup where they can bring 4 strong pitchers and match up against righties or lefties.
Fair enough. Brenden, what's your take on them?
I'm going to go no, and I'll tell you why. First 2 months of the season, 14-7 in April, 19-9 in May, off to a hot start. Then 14-13 in June, 14-12 in July, 15-13 in August, and now 1-5 so far in September. This is a team that has not just stagnated, they've cooled off. This is a team that, while they have a lot of really good talent, they essentially put their arm out with their division and have just been holding them at arm's length and not really gaining. They're not going into the postseason with any kind of momentum. I think when this team enters the postseason this year, they're going to be bounced out quickly. And that's a real shame because they've got a lot of really good players. I just don't think that they have any kind of momentum to carry into the postseason whatsoever.
You talk about Texas being a pitching factory. Detroit's pitching staff is probably the best in baseball overall this season between the starting rotation and the bullpen. How can you not discount what pitching does? Because you said it yourself. Hold on.
Like by production or talent, because neither.
In my opinion,
but look wait. Just look what they have in AAA. What they're ready to bring right up that is playoff eligible. Who they can bring up to the major leagues that they're ready to bring up. Did we forget who Dexter Morgan was? Like he can come right now and just slay.
Agreed. Dexter Morgan is a really good player, but
here's the thing, Brenden, and here's why you're wrong.
I don't know if that's enough.
Here's why you're wrong. Texas has the pieces that it takes, especially they can move down to a 4-man rotation if they want to, just fine. And you could have Shane Vaz or Griffin Canning coming out of the bullpen, or even
Aiden,
Franklin Perez. Or
you know what? I asked.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
4.66 ERA, and you bring him up as a player who you're going to stand behind.
Brenden, let me finish my freaking argument before you start butting in here. All right.
I'm sorry. I just had to tell you why you're wrong.
Also, on the lineup side of things, you look at a guy like Keibert Ruiz, who's having himself a great season. You look at Altuve, you look at Bregman. Altuve having a little bit of a down year, so is Bregman, but you look at what they can do. Bobby Witt Jr., Dexter Morgan. You look at guys like Riley Green. You look at Cedric Mullins, who's having an up year, who I'm sure you know a lot about Cedric Mullins over there in Baltimore. But here's my thing. I will take Detroit right now. I think they go to the ALCS, and I think you're going to be scared when you face them in the ALCS because they can really put a dampering on your team, and they could be in the World Series, and you could be sitting your butt at home watching those streams across a 7-game series.
Well, you know what? We're going to get a bit of a preview on that on the Thursday stream.
I hope that's the game of the night. I do. It's not Wednesday. It's Thursday.
Yes,
Thursday.
I know.
Remember Thursday? We went to Tuesday, Thursday streams now. It will be Thursday stream if that is accepted.
Yes, it sounds like that's going to be the game of the day. So I'm excited for that.
I would love to see that matchup.
Mark and I, Mark messaged me. I think I told him we should do it. So we just need
100%. Yeah. I wouldn't even I can't wait.
I'm just saying, I think you is and this is going to be a little bit of a slight at you, but you are an ALGM, so I think your blinders are on and you're trying to deflect a little bit because you're scared to face 100%. Detroit.
You know what? No, what I see
for someone who has nothing.
Here is a team that is top 5 in everything, but not number 1 in anything. This is a team that is quality.
Look, you don't need
does
to be.
Not have the ability.
Mark has learned from his lessons. He's already lost. He knows he's not trying to win the regular season. He's trying to win the postseason.
And you know what? That's fine
not
and good.
Built for this.
Focusing on the postseason and the weak division is fine.
Brenden,
if you're going into the playoff with that little momentum, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Brenden, you want to know something great
about
the postseason?
I just shaved all this off, and the Penguins went in with crap momentum, so I can't say crap. Never mind.
So hold on. You want to talk about something? Ready? Guess what? You talk about them being top 5 in statistics, but not number 1. Guess what happens when we get to the postseason? Statistics are wiped. It doesn't matter.
Everybody's at 0.
Oh, it absolutely matters. It absolutely matters.
No,
it doesn't. No, it does not.
All right, so you can take a team. You can just take a team of guys who completely underperformed, and you're like, they're definitely going to be good in the postseason. No, you base it off of what they already have done.
Correct. And Detroit has been good enough to beat you. They are going
to get there.
They are going to be your biggest test, and you are going to be scared to face them. And then when they beat them in 7, I am
much more terrified to face the Angels or the Rangers. Texas.
Look, I'm just saying.
Detroit, man.
I'm just saying, when this happens, when they bounce you out of the playoffs, I'm going to take this clip and shove it right back in your face.
All right.
I feel the same way, actually. I feel like Detroit's built for the playoffs. I do.
Fair. Okay,
I just feel that way.
Let's move on to that second wild card spot that I think is really interesting because it involved 2 teams in the East.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Boston Red Sox, who have been probably the quietest team in MLB when it comes to the Discord and things like that.
Yes.
And then you've got the sweet swinging, my team loving Tampa Bay Rays out there. The Rays find a way to win, whether it's in eMLB or whether it's in the real MLB. They find a way to win. Which team gets that second wild card, and are either of those teams even capable of winning a World Series?
Of those teams, I think Tampa gets the second wild card. I think they managed to make a push. I think that they're better than the implosion that we're seeing right now. And I think that Boston has been stuck in the mud for a while now, and I don't see them getting out of it. However, I don't think either team poses a real challenge. I think both teams are kind of in a spot where they expect to make the postseason, or at least be able to get to the postseason. But I don't think either team has the tools and has the players and has the performance to really go anywhere.
And your take on it?
That nod saying ditto.
Yeah, I have to agree. I see Tampa Bay going further than Boston if they make the postseason. If both teams do make the postseason, I see Tampa Bay going further than Boston.
Actually,
I don't see either team winning it all if they were to make it.
So we both have Texas winning the West. So a hypothetical wild card game, Angels versus Rays, who you taking?
I'm taking Rays.
Okay.
I gotta agree with him. I think, the guy we just talked about, Ben Spears, in a 1-game playoff, we talked about him in our last segment. Ben Spears, I'm taking him, and I think that they also have some nice options in that bullpen. And don't get me wrong, behind the dish, they got the man on the shirt, Mr. Ham Porter himself.
Well, I can't argue with that. I can't argue
with it.
I can't argue with that at all.
So I think we're all sort of on the same page of what's going to happen over there in the AL now. So who is coming out of the AL? Who is the World Series pick in the AL? Brenden, we're just going to go ahead and mute you for this portion. We don't need to hear anything out of your mouth. But yeah, we see who you're taking. Sean, what's your take on it?
I mean, I'm looking at who I've crossed off already. You know who I've got left. AL Central bias put aside. I'm going to take Baltimore. They have the pitching. They have the hitting.
And
that is who I think. And I can already see the smile. I can already know that he's happy to hear it. It's who I thought. I made a couple trades with him. I thought he had a team that was contending all year. He was on early. He's done nothing after a slow start.
I want to say we are 83 and 53. We started 3-13. That makes us 80 and 40.
Exactly. The slowest start that I could think of. I mean, literally, the Cincinnati Reds of 2022 in real life have not dealt with what he dealt with in 2025 eMLB. And yet, here he is talking about the best record in baseball, maybe. That is crazy to think about.
It's a good feeling.
It's crazy to think about. But when it comes down to crunch time, in my head, I think Baltimore doesn't have enough to take it. I'm going to play devil's advocate
for the
fact of the show.
The pitching, bro.
No, for the fact
pitching
of the show.
Wins.
I agree, but
you have. I've listened.
Well, no,
I've watched both episodes.
Aiden doesn't believe in pitching. He believes in hitting, but we're number
one. But he also agreed 35 minutes later in the episode. Oh, sorry. Oops, sorry.
We're going to be Chara bunnying Sean a lot, aren't we?
Yeah.
That was the first one. I'm sorry.
Let me just pan out my argument. For the sake of the show and the fact that I don't want everyone to agree on this panel, I'm going to take Detroit for the simple fact of what we were talking about earlier, how Sean said they're built for the playoffs. And here's my thing. I think they can beat you, Brenden. And I think that I don't know what your bullpen can do because you did that whole bullpen reshuffle at the trade deadline. Yeah, and I feel like it has worked in the regular season, but will it work in the postseason? And I feel like, yes, pitching wins championships, but I have more faith in Detroit's pitching because I think you're going to implode.
Okay, you know what?
Fair.
You know what? That's fine. I'll just have to rely on Knight and Reed to go 8 innings, which they do almost every single start.
Agreed.
But you have to win 4 games, and you can't pitch them 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6 and then 7.
Connor Siebold. That's my rebuttal to that argument.
Steal of the year. Steal. Just
all right,
100% steal of the year. I feel like
you know what?
Any contending team knew that they could get Connor Siebold for as cheap as you got him. Every team would have jumped on that deal.
And you know what? And frankly, it was not a bad deal for Minerva either.
No, great deal.
Expensive. He's going to be. He's unlikely to stick around long term with that club. He got a guy who he's going to have for a little bit longer and who can still develop into a very good player. And while we're on the topic,
but you don't think the Angels would have taken that deal? You don't think the Rangers would have jumped on that deal? You don't think any NL contending team would have jumped on that deal?
I'm not an NL contending team, and I would have jumped on that deal.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have. I'm an AL non-contending team. At that time, I had pitching depth that went down and would have jumped on that deal. Had no clue that was an offer. And I can assure you, being as I am a contending division opponent, that offer was never on the table.
Yeah.
You know what? Really, and it's not like Minerva was advertising him. I went and asked.
Yeah, but doesn't that hurt you? You asked, yet no one else knew. It'd be nice to know that was even on the table. I would have loved to have countered. I could have offered him so much more. And I feel like Aiden could have. Yeah,
I could have.
And so would have Andrew.
You know what? I don't think it was a bad deal for Minerva. And frankly, I don't think Minerva is all that upset about losing Siebold right now. And I think he's really happy to have Matt McClendon, who's a player who can still develop into a top-line pitcher.
Look, Brenden.
Brennan, at the end of plus another.
Look, at the end of the day, you're in your 1-year window right now. And after your 1-year window ends, we'll go back to the drawing board because you can't keep your whole team with your budget. With your current budget,
1 year.
No, with his current budget, he cannot keep his whole team around.
He has current than 1 year. It's about 2.
I don't have a major player hitting free agency this year.
I mean,
I have major players hitting free agency after next year.
Fair. So maybe a 2 year.
2 years. Like I said, 2 years.
2-year window.
while we're on the topic of Minerva and the Royals, Orioles have the best record since the All-Star break, 34-14. Angels have the second best, 30-17. Number 3, Kansas City Royals, 30-18.
Look, Minerva's one of those shifty guys there who he's made a lot of under the radar moves. Like he's definitely lost some deals at the beginning. Like, let's be honest, the Taylor Walls deal that I made with him early in the season, he took a big L on that.
Signing Hendricks and Eovaldi.
Yeah, the man has taken some L's
long-term money, but if they pay off, and right now after the All-Star break, again they've found their form, and he's suddenly in the contention for AL Central, which none of us, I'm sure all 3 of us, could say before this he had any contention.
But is it too little, too late?
I plugged him hard on the preseason podcast.
Is it too little, too late?
Too little, too late. It is. But no matter who wins the AL Central, second place is not getting the wild card. Mm-hmm. So if he somehow finds a way to beat out Detroit, and I don't think any of us believe that, it's too little, too late.
I don't think he really cared. I don't think he expected to be competing this year after the start he had. No. And I think that he can just be really happy with the positive momentum his team is making, that he can roll into next year.
I would also like to say, like, as much as I am all for Minerva performing well, I'm just thinking what it could have been like after the All-Star break or right after the trade deadline if a trade him and I were talking about could have gone through. Because there was a player from my team that has 10-5 options that said he was not willing to be traded anywhere. That it would have sent a prime first baseman from his team who's maybe in contention for an AL MVP over to Atlanta.
Whoa.
He's probably pretty lucky that deal did not go through then.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah,
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we're getting ready to move over to the NL here.
Right. So let's go ahead and pause our recording here. We'll be right back. We're gonna do some stuff, and then we'll be right back. All right, there we go. We took our quick little cut there, and now we're back again. Now we're going to talk about the NL. Brenden, who's the first team we're going to talk about?
All right, so we're going to start in the West. Leading the division right now, San Diego Padres, contender, pretender.
Go ahead, Aiden.
You have to say contender. I mean, they've been really good this season, really underrated, even though their bats haven't done a whole lot. I mean, their whole pitching staff starting rotation has under a 4 ERA, and outside of two pitchers in their bullpen, they have an under 4 ERA in their bullpen. They've got the pitching to do it. You got to think they're one of the strong teams in the East, in the West, or in the NL, just as a whole.
West.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot else you can add right there. Now let's get into the 2 interesting divisions. NL East is a tight 3-way race. Team in third place is only 1.5 out. Right now, the Phillies are leading it. Sean, contender, pretender?
Contender, all the way. Somehow they've found a way to turn a first-year manager into gold. They have hitting, they have pitching, they've taken other people's reclamation projects that they've turned aside and turned them into what you needed. This is a team that I look at that can actually keep contending if they make the postseason, and they have matched up all season long.
How you feel about that, Aiden?
Brenden, we've talked about it, I think, on this show before, or you and I have talked about it at least. They're the definition of mediocre. They are lucky. They are lucky to even be in this point. And I think as soon as they get to the playoffs, like I was mentioning with you in the last half, they're going to crap the bed. They just don't have it. Their pitching's not very good. Their lineup is meh in my head. They've got a 24 homer out of a 34-year-old Jake Lamb. He wasn't what he was last season.
I mean, you still got another premier season out of Bryce Harper.
You got a premier season, but I'm sorry, 1 bat or 2 bats doesn't really do it for me. He also struck out 159 times. I don't think they have enough to do anything, especially against some of the pitching of the other teams that we're even talking about.
Okay, well,
because if they get a wild card spot, which I think they probably do end up as one of the 2 wild card teams.
Wait, you think Nationals are going to take that division?
We'll get to the Nationals here
because if they're taking a walk-off spot,
that's actually a good point there.
Yeah. Who's taking the division then?
Well,
the Mets?
You know what?
Or Nats?
Of those three teams, Nats win the division. Both of you guys think so?
Negative.
No.
Negative.
No.
So you think the Mets, Aiden?
Oh, I do. I'm look.
And
I'll be
I'm
honest.
all on the Philly train.
I'm an NL.
Call me a fanatic.
Look, I'm an NL East. I'm an NL East GM. You know this. So it pains me to say any one of these teams is going to win the division over my own team. Mind you, I am so far in the gutter. I'm hoping for a top 10 pick next year so I can really get one of those really good CCPs. That's a whole nother discussion. We're going to have another day.
Maybe we should levy some tanking charges against you.
Hold on. How many times have I tried to convince myself that I was still in it? like let's be honest.
All of our first
Jose
podcasts.
Ramirez.
Right there. So I just think that what they bring as terms of New York, I think they have a better overall team that, in my opinion, can do more. They're more well-rounded. And on the pitching side of things, I'll take Escalona in a one-game playoff, or I'll take Escalona in that whole pitching staff right now to do something great, just because of the fact that right now their bullpen is firing on every single cylinder. They have two bona fide, late back end save guys. And they've also got a really good rotation with all guys under 4 ERAs.
So wait, do you think that Nationals are over the Phillies?
I think the Nationals missed the playoffs.
And do you think the Phillies missed the playoffs?
I think the Phillies make it as a wild card team.
Let's continue.
Okay, so you've gotten one of your wild card teams, but you don't think they're actually a real contender, Aiden.
Correct.
You think the Mets are going to win the division and they can go win a World Series. Sean, you think all three of these teams are going to make the postseason, or at least they can make the postseason, and if they do, they're going to be contenders.
Correct. If Washington were to make the playoffs, I feel like they're a contender. You cannot count out Soto. What Pirate has done with that team is nothing short of amazing. They have the pieces there to contend. I just don't feel like they're the team that's coming out of the NL East. I do feel like it's Phillies and Mets. But if they somehow eke it out, I wouldn't be surprised if they made another run. They were there last year.
Yeah, and Soto having a down year by his standards, and they still have they're still the number one hitting team in the National League.
Correct.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get to the other interesting division. This one has been the cause of a lot of arguments in our Discord, because these are some of our more established older GMs, and they tend to go at it a little bit harder than everybody else. Talking about the Central here, the Cubs are currently leading it. Sean, do you think that they're a real contender right now?
I think without a doubt, there's one player that you need to think about when you start thinking about the NL Central. And
Herbeck.
If it's not, oh, sure. Yeah. Herbeck. Yeah. That's exactly Minerva. You shouldn't have traded him. Other than that, yeah, we're not looking at anybody else. That's it. No, it's Danny D. Smith Jr. If we're not looking at him, then I don't know what we're doing. He's already come in and lit the league up. I think he has a strong case for Rookie of the Year, except for he won't qualify.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Aiden, Cubs get real contenders?
Of course they are. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
That's fair. And do you both think they hold their lead over the division and end up winning it?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So,
yes.
A lot of agreement here. There's two other teams in this division that we got to talk about. We got the Brewers, we got the Cardinals. I'm going to start you off with Aiden there. What do you think about the Cardinals? Are they a real contender, or are they just pretending?
They are the biggest pretender I have ever seen in eMLB. Andrew,
wow.
Yes, I know I'm throwing flames at Andrew, and he knows it's all in good fun. But seriously, I think they're in a division where obviously we're talking about a lot of the different teams in it, but I don't really see what they bring past a certain point. You've got an aging Anthony Rizzo who hasn't done crap for you. You've got a guy who I traded in, Ronald Acuna Jr., who was quiet with me. He's got a high average in St. Louis, but the power numbers just haven't really been there for him. And I honestly think that overall their pitching staff won't be able to hold up, and I think they struggle at the end.
That's definitely fair. They've got a great pitching staff, but 11th in runs scored is a lot to try and overcome. Sean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like the Brewers are going to take the division.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. The Cardinals have been slumping lately. I do feel like they have the pitching. Their bats have not answered the call at all. Whatever it may be.
You think Brewers take it? Oh, you take the division over the Cubs?
Yeah. No. The wild card spot. Sorry.
I got you.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was
I
about
did say
to.
that. Yes. Sorry. I do feel like the Cubs will win the division, and the Brewers will take the second wild card spot, or at least wild card 1, possibly in the league.
Okay. Aiden, we've already got Sean's thoughts. He thinks the Brewers are going to make the postseason. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you think they have a real shot at it? And if they have a shot at it, do you think they can do anything with it?
I think they make the postseason, but I don't think they can do anything with it. Their lineup just doesn't scream, hey, we can do something in the playoffs.
Correct. They're going to make the playoffs, but they won't.
We talk about the Phillies
achieve.
We talk about the Phillies being mediocre. Talk about the Brewers being mediocre. Like, those two teams, I think, honestly meet up in the one-game playoff, and it's who's going to be more mediocre, who's going to come out of that. And then, honestly, whoever wins that is going to get swept by the number 1 team in the NL.
Okay.
I can buy that.
So playoff teams right now, Aiden, you're looking at Cubs, Padres, Mets, wild card Phillies, and Brewers. Sean, you think the Phillies win the East, Padres in the Central, Padres in the West, Cubs in the Central? Your wild cards are Brewers, Nats?
Correct.
Okay, so our hypothetical wild card rounds, you think Brewers beat the Phillies, Aiden?
I do.
What do you think happens in the NL wild card round, Sean?
Actually, hold on. No, I don't necessarily think the Brewers beat the Phillies.
Oh, model of mediocrity.
Oh, yeah,
might be model of mediocrity.
It's the battle of mediocrity. Yes. And I think that when we look at it, I'd rather have Brian Abreu in a one-game playoff, so I'm going to go with the Phillies.
I think the Phillies can win that matchup. If that were the matchup presented, I think the Phillies take the matchup over the Brewers.
Okay. Well, how about this? Of all the teams that we've discussed potentially being in the playoffs, which team do you think comes out of the National League? Sean, I'll start you off.
Cubs. Simple. Danny Smith Jr.
Any disagreement there, Aiden?
I want to, but I can't. Like that's the thing.
Give him 7 games, he's going to win you 4 of them.
Look,
I just can't bet against it.
It's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be Cubs Padres at that last game. That series is going.
I can see that games. If that's how it plays out.
That series is going 7 series. And I think that if the Cubs continue to hold on to the best record in the NL, or if they can clinch it, I should say, if they can clinch the best record in the AL and they're going to host all the games, it's going to benefit them. But I still think at the end of the day, the Cubs can come out of it. But really, it's a toss-up when you talk about that. But I think, and this is going to be a hot take, which I'm sure leads us into our last discussion point, the NL is winning the World Series this year with whatever team comes out of it.
Really?
I disagree. Oh, I can't wait. Yeah.
I disagree too. The best team in the NL is at best the 4th or 5th best team in the league.
Yeah, I don't see any team coming out of the NL. Look, unless it's the Cubs.
I'm saying
Danny Smith Jr. is so on fire.
Ready? Cubs Tigers World Series. Cubs take it in 6.
I can sign on for that only because I can see Danny Smith Jr. winning those. I can see him coming on and just winning the 4 games that he needs to win. 4 bombs, 2 of them being of the grand slam or 3-run home runs or variety. You line him up, he's going to knock him down.
You can't argue it.
That's fair. I'll have trouble arguing that too.
What do you see?
I don't know if they win a World Series, but I do think that they have the best chance to come out.
That's a good possibility. I like it.
Sean, what's the World Series matchup and who wins and how many games?
I mean, the Cubs are the hard one to come out of the NL. That's the team that I keep seeing. I mean, baseball will baseball, so any team could, but I'm taking the Cubs. And if I had to pick one out of the AL right now, not thinking it any further, it's going to be Detroit. And that's who you said. I do. I told you. I think Detroit built themselves for the postseason. They have been looking forward to this all year. Everybody has been looking at the record, how quickly they came out, how much they've been slumping. No one is giving the credit that they deserve. This is where they're built for, and they will show everybody once they bring up that 4-pitcher lineup. Everybody matched up for lefties. You're going to be shocked. Saying that, I still see the Cubs. I do.
Fair. Brenden, we know you're going to pick the Orioles in the AL. We know you're going to pick them to win the World Series.
I would expect nothing else.
Who do they face, and how many games do you beat them in your opinion?
My ideal scenario.
I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for your ideal scenario. I asked,
what do you think?
Let me rephrase that. What I think is going to happen. There's going to be a 7-game NLCS, and the Padres are going to take it over the Cubs. The Padres are going to roll into the World Series. Steve's got a great squad, and they're going to go down in 5.
Bold take.
I'm standing by that.
How many games do you win the
ALCS? And you know what?
What are you finishing the ALCS?
Aiden went ahead and gave the National League home field advantage in the World Series because we still have the All-Star game deciding home field advantage for some reason. Game five will be at Camden Yards, and Ethan Knight will be on the mound beating them.
Ooh, wow!
Calling it right now.
Does Jim Reed come in to close out the game?
Oh yeah. We're going ideal scenario now. I'm throwing reality out. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about what I'm dreaming.
So here's the question: how many games is your ALCS, and who's it against?
Well, let's see. We have the best record in the league, so assuming that holds, we're the 1 seed. We're facing either we assume our hypothetical AL wildcard round is against the Angels and the Rays. I agree. I think if that's the wildcard matchup, Rays can win. And we've beat up on the Rays all year. I think we beat the Rays in the
how many games?
On the DS, 4. So you go into the ALCS. It's going to be you're looking Tigers, Rangers. I think the Rangers beat the Tigers. I think we face the Rangers, and I think we do it in 6 or 7.
Look at him. He said what?
This man is sleeping on Mark so hard right now.
I'm not sleeping on Mark. I'm not sleeping on Mark. I'm going for the team that has a team 3.56 ERA and a 2.81 bullpen ERA, and managed to trade 2 of their bullpen arms, and it didn't even matter.
Who won the offseason?
I'm sorry?
Who won the offseason? I'm curious.
Oh, I'm the Tigers, but winning. There's no World Series trophy.
Brenden,
no, none. But
hold on. Here's
my
the
man
thing.
has delivered all year, and you're just counting him.
Hold on. Here's
he hasn't delivered all year though. He delivered for 2 months.
Brenden,
I know we want to discount AL Central as being one of the. Everyone in the beginning of the year said it was one of the strongest divisions. We would have the best races, right? I know it hasn't lived up to that. Cleveland Indians are at the bottom. Minnesota Twins are looking at 63 and 74, I believe, right now. We're not hanging there. But there's a reason why the rest of the top half of that division hasn't pulled away like the rest of you have. Your bottom half is weak. The rest of us have tried. Think about it.
Here, hold on. Can I chime in here? Here's my biggest thing. Ready? The fact of the matter is that once we get into the playoffs, the regular season doesn't matter outside of your record determining home field advantage. And here's my thing too. It's that great. You could have the best combined bullpen ERA, but you know what? It doesn't matter because you can shit the bed in 3 games and lose a series. You can shit the bed in 4 games and lose a series. Hold on. Can I finish my point? Brenden, can I finish my point?
Finish your point.
So my point is the fact of the matter is that Detroit has been there before, knows what they're doing, And the fact of the matter is that I don't know that even though Texas has all these arms, can they perform? And the fact of the matter is, on top of that all, is that you may have the best team on paper. Paper doesn't win championships, on the field does.
And I agree. I feel like Detroit has learned from their mistakes. They've learned from past failures, and they're ready for this year. And if you didn't think of all those offseason moves weren't preparing themselves for this moment when we reach the postseason this year, then you haven't been paying attention all year.
I'm sorry, but isn't the on the paper team the entire argument for why the Tigers are going to be good contenders in the postseason? You can't say that. You can't say that on paper. You know, they've made all these moves for the postseason and then come out
when the postseasons haven't happened.
Look, that's not what I'm saying though. That's not what
I am though, and I agree with that. I can hear where you're saying that, but watching how they match up all year, they're not built for the 7-day grind, the 21-day grind. They're ready for that tight matchup where you have a game every other day and you're able to bring out who you want and you're able to put the matchups that you want. They've put themselves in that position. You're looking at players that are on the roster right now. I guarantee you they're not on their roster when postseason comes.
That's fair.
I'd also like to point out.
I want to.
No, hold on. One last thing on the Tigers. They also have the secret weapon that we're also not talking about.
The Roundhouse fan?
Huh?
Roundhouse?
Cardinal fan.
Chuck Norris, baby.
Chuck Norris.
I agree. I see
He's
him
playoff eligible. He is playoff eligible.
100%. That's why I say the roster you see right now is not the roster you will see in the postseason. He's about to rope a dope all y'all.
This is
I have
argument.
no horse in the game. The Cleveland Indians are not making it.
Neither are the Braves.
I mean, we have to win every game. We still have a chance.
Look, I'm not mathematically eliminated yet.
Me either. But I know there's no chance.
Yeah.
But a 6-0 sim makes me go, hey, we have a chance.
This is a dangerous argument I'm about to make, but I'm still going to make it. Tigers against the Rangers this year, just 2-4.
They played 6 games.
Rangers taking it, right?
But we're going off small sample size for the postseason, aren't we?
I feel like there's
playoff baseball is different from regular season baseball.
What makes it different? We'll have that philosophical argument. What makes it different?
The fact of, okay, how many games in a row were they playing up to that point when they played those two teams?
Correct.
What was the injury situation like? What was their whole team situation like? When you go into the playoffs, you know exactly what you're getting. When you're in the regular season, there are so many other liquid moving parts.
You set your lineups. You know who you're facing.
It's still
just
just
what's going to happen. No, it's
focus on it as just one game.
When you're in the regular season, hold on. When you're in the regular season, you have to focus on a whole 162. When you're in the playoffs, you can go game by game by game.
Yes, and they've set the roster for those game by game.
Maybe that's a case of you not thinking about the regular season the right way. And I don't say that meanly. I mean, maybe you should focus on the regular season as a game by game by game basis because every single game matters, even though you play 162 of them.
Doesn't matter once you make the postseason. Once you're in, if you have the roster to win the rest of those games, doesn't matter.
Look, if
all you have to do is get in.
Hold on. If we took, I'm going to pose this as a hypothetical then if you want to play the game of hypotheticals. Let's say if we take the regular season out, and we just did a 32 team just based on their teams. We did a tournament style thing or a 30-team tournament. I guarantee you the Atlanta Braves make it a whole lot farther than you're probably thinking right now because we had a tough regular season, but we have the players to contend. Same thing with the Indians. They may not have necessarily right now, they haven't had the best regular season, but they have a team that could contend if they were put in the playoffs right now.
You're talking about a May that we lost 2 of our starting pitchers.
There's a reason they're not looking at the postseason right now.
I mean, you're talking about
it's that tough regular season as a product of the fact that their roster is good. It's definitely middle of the pack in the National League.
No, you're full of shit,
no.
Brenden.
I mean, listen, if you're only playing a tournament where there's 30x teams and we're only playing each other over a 5-game series or a 7-game series, where I lost 2 of my starting pitchers for over a month or 2 months at a time.
I lost my ace for 5 months.
Right.
I lost my ace
much
for
better.
5
That's
months.
why a 162 game schedule matters. That's why
I said it matters.
season
I said it matters. I didn't say it didn't matter.
Right. We can't look at each, but I'm saying that Mark has built his team, and I feel like he has voiced this more than once. He's built his team for the postseason, learning from his mistakes. And I think anybody who's discounting is, I mean, dang it, I'd put $1,000 on it right now.
Ooh, okay. Maybe we can get with Kamish to authorize that bet, and we can make it official.
Look, here's my
I'd
thing
be happy
too.
with it.
Brenden, I'm not even going to have your argument with you. I'm just throwing out what you said completely because I know you're just trying to rile me up. Like, I know that's your whole thing right now. But when it comes to it at the end of the shut up. When it comes to it at the end of the day, what we can say is these playoffs are gonna be electric no matter what the heck happens.
You know what? eMLB has done an amazing job, I think, as a league, as a product, of making sure that every single GM is trying to win. And you end up in a situation where the teams that are having success, every single GM is desperate, every single GM is hungry, and every single GM legitimately believes, the ones that are going to the postseason, at least a little bit, legitimately believes they have a chance to win it all. And that's going to create some really interesting baseball.
So
wait. I literally just took myself from the second worst team to the seventh worst team, and I could not be happier right now because I'm climbing out from the cellar. And there's a chance that I might be like the 15th best team. Do you understand how that sounds better than 15th worst team?
Oh, yeah. I love that optimism.
That is it. There's still a chance for me to make the playoffs, as little as that is. I have to literally win every game right now.
I would like to say I am the 7th worst team in baseball right now, currently by win-loss record. But you know what? You want to know who's right behind me currently?
I'm afraid to look.
It's Cincinnati right underneath me, and then right underneath Cincinnati, it's Cleveland.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Does this mean the state of Ohio itself is just the state of losers?
No. No.
I mean, it is Ohio.
And this is coming from a Pittsburgh fan. Yes.
Oh.
No.
Hey, by the way, I hope you'll enjoy my Bolts lifting a Stanley Cup for the 3rd year in a row.
I could live with you lifting it over the Canes.
Oh, everyone can. I know this is getting
off track. If they trot out Bill Cowher to ring that damn horn at a Cane home ceremony, I'll cry. Just so you know. Every Pittsburgh fan knows what I'm feeling right now.
You know what? Here's my big thing with the hockey playoffs too. We just saw the Stanley Cup in the series of the Lightning versus the Maple Leafs. If this was not divided by leagues and subdivisions, that would have been such a fun series as a Stanley Cup final right there. And no one could disagree. For sure. 100% would have been lights out. Must watch TV, but nope. And Eastern Conference don't care. I will save Andrew from another Chara bunny, but Austin Matthews can go, he can go hang out where they belong.
Well, he's already going to have to do a couple of those Chara bunnies. I think you might have actually had one for you right there a little bit ago. Me? Yeah. Oh God. He's got at least 2 for Sean. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go
one
back.
for me for sure. If the second one I don't remember.
I'm gonna have. Yeah, you had a CR, and you had a CR and a FU.
I definitely had the FU. I don't know what a CR
I'm going to have to go. You see, the sad thing is I'm going to have to go back through the tapes now and listen to my own voice, which I hate doing, to mark down for Andrew when the Chara buddies need to go up.
Excellent.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, Sean, thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate
anytime.
It.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
I think we might have time for you to come back on probably when we get to the off season. We're desperate for content.
Yeah,
yes, that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm available any night, honestly, guys. Anytime.
That's great. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Once again, make sure to join the Discord in the description below. We're getting into crunch time. Join the streams. They're a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure when you guys are seeing this, not exactly sure, but Thursday night's game of the night, we're probably seeing Baltimore versus Detroit, so we can truly get who's going to be the winner out there. And then also make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shout out to our editor, Andrew Pays, for all of his hard work. Shout out to Kamish on the other side for letting us do all this. We'd like to thank you all so much, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.